Last little mic check. All right, ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Actually, we should introduce ourselves, I suppose. Okay.
Why?
Why? We can do little lower thirds. I can just say our names instead. All right. Hi, my name is Joshua J. Cordero. I'm the writer and director of The Pool.
And I'm Sean. I play the character Sam. What's his name? Yes. I remembered.
He's the lead role.
I've slept since then.
It's been a while since we made this movie, actually. Okay. Well, here, I guess I should say, we're going to give some commentary and some insight into the making of The Pool. If you watched it and enjoyed it, you might be curious to find out all that went into making it, the challenges and the smooth roads and all those things. And I'm going to shut up so we can start watching this. All right, here we go. I remember editing this for the first time, and of course I'm loading everything. I'm excited to finally start editing it. And in the shot that works, we got, you can't see it because I've masked it out, but we got a crew member's foot sticking out from that patio, like blatantly just sticking out. And it was this guy who was our intern. He was trying to get a job with it. I was like, oh, that's gonna work against you because you ruined the shot.
Good thing you're unpaid.
I know, and I had to spend so much time masking out his stupid foot, but it turned out just fine. Anyway, all right, here we go. Okay, seriously. Oh, it's working, okay.
Give it a second.
This is one of the few things that, I got all excited when I first noticed Krista's tattoo because I thought it was Stitch, but it's actually just a frog because Stitch is my favorite Disney character. That 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea cover that actually was made by a friend of mine. That was not an actual book. I was worried about some copyright issues, and there was some specific action I wanted the character of Ned to be doing with the squid because it plays into the story later. So yeah, a friend of mine custom made that cover. She did a really great job.
I was wondering because I'd never seen it before, but I don't know all the covers.
The covers is a lot.
From Overtime.
For those of you who are into technical details, actually here I'll say this too. Those hands are not our boy. His name's Brody. Those are not young boy's hands. Those are actually my son's hands. We ran out of time that day filming these scenes, and I kind of omitted those shots and just said I'd do them later. And then, so even that shot right there, that's all my son Judah doing a stand-in. He's actually in Brody's class they go to the same school. So that worked out.
He got voluntold to do some hand modeling.
Actually, my dad did the same thing for a different character later in the film.
That was the dad?
Yeah, the way he's writing the letter.
The dad did the dad.
Spoiler alert.
Hey.
All of this was filmed, I go over those technical things. For those of you who are interested, this was filmed with the Red Komodo X. This was my first thing I've ever filmed with a Red camera. And then the underwater stuff was filmed with a combination of a Osmo 3, or no, I'm sorry, a DJI, whatever their action camera is, and a GoPro 12. Krista here, I think was the only person who had no bloopers. She is a very talented theatrical actress and definitely brings her A game, no matter what she's in.
I've had the privilege of working with her before, and then didn't even know she was in this until after I showed up. And I didn't get to work with her on it.
I didn't know that, actually. No. It's too bad we didn't have her for that last shot instead of Nathan's hand. Right? Spoilers, yeah. We'll elaborate with that. I mean, you've watched the film at this point if you're watching this, I think. So, Brody, I think this was Brody's first film he was in. He'd been in kind of like little theatrical productions, but it took like a little patience working with him and just kind of cueing him in the right ways. But when he brought it well. Here we have his little fear, panic attack there. All the stuff he's been consuming is overwhelming him. Scared of the water. Mom wants to invite him in the deep end.
I don't know how any of these other characters are not trembling.
Because of the cold?
Yeah, you'll see me like towards the end, I'm just holding that picture and I'm doing my best to hold still and it's making it worse somehow.
We started filming this in August, and then we did get kind of early, I'd say our early fall in the Central Valley where we filmed this. And so the cold set in unexpectedly quickly. So I don't think we had a single scene in the water where the water felt comfortable. It was freezing. I think our last...
The worst for the night.
Yeah. We had night scenes, the water's freezing. So I think we filmed as late as September. I mean, the water was very, very cold. This shot right here, I paused it here because this shark is, there's a number of things we do with practical effects later, like in props. The shark is the only thing that's entirely like VFX. This was like a digital animated shark, and then we did some different things with coloring, and then a different gentleman ended up taking over this because I wasn't quite happy with what I was making, and he did like the shadow underneath it, and had this 3D model that he did different things to that I was happy with. I mean, if you stare at it, it's kind of obvious it's something digital, really. I mean, but it did turn out pretty good. I was happy with that. I think
Using
he did
a
a great
toy
job.
and forced perspective right up in front of the camera just wasn't good enough.
We should have tried that. Yeah. This, I really love how Brody's eyebrows go up there. He did a great job with that. And his shaking, which is supposed to imply he's so scared, he's terrified, but he's watching. That's actually he's just really cold.
It's production quality. It's fine.
There you go. And fun fact about Krista screaming there, which you're hearing us, not really her screaming here. Actually, here I'll rewind it a little bit so we can hear some of her screaming. We did not have her screaming during where's our audio? What is going on? Okay, hold on. We're gonna take. Where's our audio at? Seriously, like I never have these issues too. There we go.
Usually when you turn volume up, it takes it out of mute automatically.
You would think so, right? Okay, yeah. And therefore, you can see how professional we're doing this commentary. I didn't even realize the whole film's been muted this whole time, which I know the audio for this is mainly background noise. But anyway, we're gonna have some audio.
I
with
thought
this.
it was on purpose. So.
Yeah, there you go. So Krista's screaming here when the shark's supposed to be attacking her. This was not recorded on site. This was done at a different location, like months later. The reason for that is because from some experience of what I've had in other films where there's been something violent happen, I was worried, like seriously worried, that we'd have people calling the police. That someone's screaming, help, 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 like they're dying. And this pool is in a very crowded residential neighborhood. There's lots of people that hang out in their backyards, and I knew this was going to be an issue. So I didn't want to dance around that.
Every time I see something in films like that where it's like, how did they get away with it?
Yeah.
In those neighborhoods. I was actually on another film where I had a really big, real-looking gun, and I step out the front door and scream, I'm going to kill you. But the director of that one let me know that he actually went around to all his neighbors like, so we're going to be doing this thing at night.
Yep.
There's going to be a bright light for a few minutes.
Good call.
There's a guy who's going to scream this thing. Are we cool? Yeah, I guess.
we thought of doing that, but I didn't know how far her voice would carry. And just so I was like, I don't want to take that time. So let's just go to a different house. So we went to a very secluded house that was way out in the country and just recorded the audio for her being attacked by the shark.
There, hopefully nobody heard, because it's like, well, there's somebody screaming bloody murder in that house in the middle of the field over there.
It would be a good spot, I guess, for that, right? So anyway, but it turned out
over
good.
The valley.
Good reaction by Brody. And then there's our fake blood, which we had a lot of fun doing, because we had like one chance to do that. And
blood that's probably still in there.
yes,
a year later.
The pool's actually my parents' pool, and they just recently had the filters professionally cleaned, and they were all stained red like months later. So
and the cleaners are like, is there a story?
what happened in the pool? Exactly. Yeah. So thanks, Mom and Dad. All right, here we go. Here is our lead actor's first scene. This was his first shoot, actually. Tell us what happened that day, Sean.
I'm sorry if you're blind now with my shirt off. I learned the first time in my life, 36 years old, how to dive in and not have the goggles fall off my face. Because I would think the pressure of water going straight against them would do it. So I would dive more against the water this way. But that's what's making them come off. Like,
you always learn something with making movies.
It is very much more difficult to swim badly. I was exhausted.
Take two, swim badly. Oh yeah, I bet you were exhausted. Yeah, because we did a lot of takes of this too.
It's like I could do quite a few laps in there normally and be fine. 2-3 laps trying to swim badly. And I was like, oh, this is terrible.
I didn't really think of that, of how like all the exertion that would come with all the bad swimming. So
It's worth it
that's-
to learn how to swim correctly.
there you go. There you go. Fun fact about this scene too is that again, this was our very first day of shooting was filming this scene, and we were hit with two major curveballs. The first was the character of the swim coach, who's played by Chad, was not supposed to be played by Chad. It was actually played by a guy named Steve, who is an actual swim coach in real life, and he had an incident where he was going to have to put down his dog, and had to stop, or couldn't come to the shoot, for understandable reasons. But the arrangement we made with the high school where this pool is located, this was the only day we could have access to this pool, so there wasn't any postponing. So I am literally cold calling people and just like, hey, it was only a few lines. Can you please fill in for this role? It's not a lot of lines. It'll take an hour, just your scenes. Please, 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 please.
He's literally holding a clipboard with a script on it. So he's like, yeah, keep going. You're doing great. More of the same. Yes, you're good.
And so Chad was like literally within the hour, I'm asking him to come down because we also got to get it done before the sun sets, right? And then we ran out of time. This was the second challenge that was thrown our way, was that we were supposed to have the pool to ourselves the whole evening while the sun was up. And then a girls swim team shows up who was not supposed to be there. And they're like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, what are you doing here? So they were trying to rush even more, and already a little delayed because of the casting incident. That was our first day of shooting. So
Please, please, please give us 10 more minutes.
yes, exactly.
Literally, that's all we needed.
Just imagine your arms and legs extended in the water as you're moving. Picture it in your mind's eye.
I think Chad did pretty darn good for being
Yeah.
a fill-in from like an hour ago. Of course, I'd made him be in short films I did in the past. Too.
Love my hairdo there.
I like your little smirk there, the thanks. It's like this, thanks, but screw you, kind of at the same time, you know?
It's like, I know what you're saying is true. I don't know if I believe you. Real fun.
One thing Sean was really good at, more than I think anyone I've worked with in doing short films, was his attentiveness to continuity. Even he'd like stop and run and go get his hair wet real quick, knowing that, okay, I know I just got to the pool, my hair should be looking more wet right now. So I really appreciated that, because there's things I wasn't even thinking about, because I was the cinematographer as well, and just again rushing against the clock. So he did a great job, and thank you for continuity.
Well, of course.
This is the only other scene that Sean's not in.
Thankfully, because as cold as I was during the day, probably would have died in these ones.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know how they did it without shaking.
Oh no, they were. I mean, yeah. At the end of the scene, Ariel there, she's shaking so bad, but it works, like the adrenaline, what's happening. You know, she saw that thing manifest in the pool, but she's just freezing. So it worked out. I remember this part was really hard to light, and I had a really hard time like making it in a way that I was satisfied with, trying to make it look like this light was maybe from a natural porch light, but then making it look consistent, but at the same time enough light that we can see them. If you look closely at the background during these like next few clips, the lighting in the background is completely inconsistent.
It's like I was looking for that one that was shining up at them as they were
Where you
across the corner, but there was a light there, so it was all right. It works out.
There's a continuity error there too. That inflatable bed she throws over the fence, we forgot to really have something happen that makes it go in the pool, so it just kind of appears there later. There's a lot to keep track of when you're making a movie.
Yeah.
That's why crews are so big. And it's ironic, she makes a comment about how hot it is, and yet it's quite cold. So even at this point, when they were just standing outside in their swimsuits, they were getting pretty chilly. That was Sean's stomach, if you heard that.
Yeah.
Should have had some snacks for us, some popcorn. Not a lot of people noticed this when I was sharing it with some co-artists, some co-filmmakers, just to get feedback. But I was trying to show, because it plays into the story later, that the chest is already in the pool.
Yeah,
And so there's a few like kind of very subtle things where it's in the corner. So it's meant to establish that this is not something that just randomly appears later, because that wouldn't make sense, but that it's been here for some time. So yeah, there's a little chest here. I don't know if I should have made that more obvious, or I don't know.
Well, they are talking about how he's passed or whatever, and so
Yeah.
he would have had this set up for my character
Yeah.
at this point. So yeah.
Exactly.
So who did he
Spooky
get
ladder.
to put it down there?
Well, we hint that, again, if you're watching this, assuming you've seen the movie, but it hints at that maybe just he had such a lack of imagination. He was an accountant, I guess, I don't know. That essentially when he gets in the water, he's not really in danger. It's kind of like what it hints
He's not
at.
going to make anything
Yeah,
clear.
because like his thoughts
makes
don't
sense.
overwhelm him like that, or he doesn't even have that vivid of imagination, that creative of a mind. And even the note where I'm saying this was the best I could do. So it kind of hints at maybe even that crossed his mind. Maybe could I bring my wife back with the pool?
I think he does have a line that says, "I don't have as good imagination
Yeah.
as you do," or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's the picture, what he writes in the back of
Is
it.
it?
Yeah, so it's not like, it's almost kind of like this challenge, like, what could you do, Sam, with your vivid imagination and having this power at your disposal now?
You have the ladder, genius. Seriously, a ladder? Unless you got both coming.
These two young ladies were high school students at a local high school that I worked with, doing a few other like client productions, and they're friends in real life. I thought they both did. I like their banter back and forth. Little cheating there. They didn't actually jump over the fence.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's a little obvious.
Oh, it's colder than I thought it would be.
And yeah, it was cold. Yeah, and I imagine everyone always talks how hard it is for the cast. Imagine me, the cinematographer, trying to hold the camera steady in this water.
You probably have to be in it more than they do.
Yeah.
I do a little. Ew.
We had a loud neighbor during this shoot too that we had to repeatedly ask to turn their music down, and then like they did turn it off outside, but then they were playing it inside, but it was so loud you could hear the boom, boom, boom. So then we had to walk over and just play, "Hey, we're filming. What are you filming?" And then, oh my gosh, that was an endeavor. I love how the lighting looks with just the pool light shining from underneath them. It has this eerie look to it.
Sydney? Sydney!
Someone that watched this thought that was like the most unnerving scene in the movie. To me, it was this very obvious kind of scare, but
Well, last time somebody went under, they got eaten by a
yeah,
shark.
well, I mean that's true. I didn't think of it that way.
Maybe you're showing out. I'll give this back.
I will say these girls did a good job with their. Actually, everyone, no, with the exception of Rachel, everyone did great with their lines. Sorry, Rachel, if you're watching this.
Lawyer and medical speak is always
Yeah.
really difficult. So it's
The-
okay, right?
yeah.
You're fine.
This was especially hard to shoot just because this. I didn't have the budget to get an underwater housing for my cinema camera. I mean, there's so much money. So these are shot with essentially like high-end action cameras, but those are not really meant to be shooting in low light conditions. So the lighting had to be drastically different. There's guys standing above the edge of the pool, like shining light directly down. So we try to get enough light, but then we don't want to do it too much because it's supposed to be the lights just went out in the pool. So interesting, just dynamic. The lighting, this scene was the hardest part about this scene, getting the lighting right.
It's a very bright movie.
Right. There's our jellyfish that were all just these little rubberized props that we got, and we kind of cleaned them all together, and they were a real pain in the butt to get to stay in place. Or the weight they were on would like drag them down. So it was, and I think I'm filming Emily while she gets stung and trying to hold it because no one in the crew is willing to get in the water at that point. Which, I mean, there wasn't a big crew. It's me, it's the boom mic operator, so he can't do it. There's the slate operator, who I didn't know this, but he actually couldn't swim. And then it's my
Worth
wife.
it to learn how to swim correctly.
It is, especially when we were making a movie called The Pool, right? My wife was the other person, and she's like, yeah, no, that's not happening. She was not willing to get in the water, so you work
Put
with
the weight
what
at
you
the
got.
bottom of the jellyfish and then hold them with a fishing rod or something. It's like they're just suspended.
There you go.
Too late. It's fine.
Too late. Hindsight's 20/20.
Don't turn the lights on, or someone might see. I won't. Have fun, Little Mermaid. You know, I think I'd make
The mermaid line is so cheesy, but the idea is we're trying to get that character to think about mermaids. So that will come later. There's so much
I
of
do
this.
love that she has red hair as well.
Yeah, which is not planned.
And these little cherub shots.
Every
Every time they show up, I'm like,
The cherub, yeah, several people.
That's the establishment that something's about to happen, I think.
A lot of people like think that that's very deliberate. That, oh, that's foreshadowing this, or that's, you know, it is so creepy. That actually is there. That is a decoration, a real decoration that was already there around that pool. It really is only, not every time, but for a lot of times in this case, when I cut to it, is literally just so there's a cutaway shot. So in this part, for example, Jashea, the actress, she just took so long. It was so hard for her. You should watch the outtake reel of her trying to climb onto the inflatable raft and get to the deep end. It was so challenging for her, and it took so long that I just needed to cut to something else so we could show she's here and now she's here. That's literally the only reason why we cut to the
But
chair.
as far as
there.
anyone's concerned, he did it on purpose.
Yeah, you know, unless you watch this commentary now, you know, spoiler.
Yeah, so I noticed it when I first walked in. I was like, that would make a really good shot for something. I don't know what. I'm not a cinematographer. But yeah.
Oh yeah,
and then it keeps showing up every time something appears in the pool.
we use the crap out of that cherub. Yeah.
It's good because it's just a sad little thing
It
sitting
is.
there. Just
It's this very sad,
You're
depressing
gonna die.
cherub. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna have to watch another person die in this pool now. You're trying to make that big light source from underwater almost look like it's the moon, which is a bit of a stretch, but comes our little jaw shot. Da-da-da-da-da.
this poor actress apparently drowning every time she got in.
Oh yes, our actress Sarah Sidney, who is got the cameo as this. I love the music in this scene. The mermaid here, gosh, she had to go through hours of prosthetics to get that makeup done. Despite how brief in the film the mermaid appears, I wanted it to look as good as we could. And so Mary is the gal and her daughter who did the makeup. They did an excellent job. She looked so real. You could see like those details on her chest, even on like her neck and her forearms. And but now an interesting thing that happened with this that we did not expect is there was something weird about the makeup that restricted her facial muscles. So I guess it was actually this. My mind can't really wrap around how this happens, but it was almost like she couldn't prevent water from going up her nose when she'd go underwater. Something about the pressure of it, and so every time she'd go under, it goes, and she would choke and cough, and the water's freezing on top of all that. So she was miserable during this whole thing.
Permanent breathe right strip.
Put it underneath the makeup. Yeah, we probably could have.
Well, with all the plaster and everything that they have on there,
Who knows? Yeah,
wouldn't
but
surprise me.
a huge shout out to Sydney for
I wanna go home.
suffering for this film.
Me too.
Hours for 5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's amazing how many hours upon hours for multiple people go into films for what's just a few seconds of screen time for a certain event. That's not the same neighborhood he's driving in.
It's nearby.
It's nearby. The truck was so hot too. Oh my gosh, I was dying in that truck because we had the AC off for a clean audio and it was so warm. I like that look there. It's a really good like.
I want to go in there.
Needed like a lost sound effect. You know, that.
What I wanted to talk to you about, son.
This is not at all what my actual dad looks like. But it was such a surprise walking in, just turning the corner, seeing this actor. I'm like, yeah, we match. Same glasses. We had the same
We met.
exact glasses.
I love that.
I don't wear them anymore. But I was like, that's the kind I have at home.
Those little things. It was something I consider when casting. Roger is actually a psychologist. He's a family counselor with a really extensive theatrical background. He even like traveled the country or maybe even the world actually in like a theatrical singing group when he first got married. And, now he's in his 60s and he has his own practice. But quite a change in careers there. But I still bring him in for like short films, and he does voice work for me. And yeah, he's pretty cool. I like working with Roger. That photo, by the way, is not. We were trying to get the three of them together to take that photo. We could never seem to make it work, so we just grabbed Facebook photos of the three of them and then blended them together. Krista looks a little weird.
The only one that really looks out of place.
It's mainly her smile, too. She looks like she doesn't want to be there.
What do you mean? You invited me over to talk about a fence?
I should have put that thing up years ago.
I love your expressions during this whole exchange. They're excellent. Roger there, I almost forgot. There's so many times where he does these dramatic pauses. Wait, why don't you say what he did there, Sean? I'm talking too much.
Oh, God, if I can remember.
Well, remember like the pauses? Like that we kept thinking like, wow, there are these really...
Well, we couldn't tell them apart from when he would actually forget the line and when he was just doing a really drawn out dramatic pause.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, do we need to cut? Oh, I was about to continue. Oh, sorry.
He would have these really good dramatic pauses, but it'd just be him trying to remember the line, and he's staying in character while he's trying to remember it. So it was really impressive, actually.
Which is what you do in theater.
There you go.
It's like even if you forget, you're still on stage
Yeah.
in real time.
Yeah.
Gotta stay in whatever character you are.
Actually, I think the whole main cast, now that I think of it, has a theater background. Like you, Krista, Roger. Yeah, you guys all have a pretty extensive theater background. I didn't even think of that.
Sorry? I did.
And you said Brody had done some things too?
Yeah, he done some theater things too. By the way, the pool that they're looking at, this is actually my parents' house that we filmed this at, but it wasn't just because, oh, Mom and Dad, can we film at your house? They were literally the only ones that I knew that had a fence like the one I wanted, because the dialogue here, the dad's telling his son that, oh, you know, he put this fence around it because he needed to kind of protect people from it. But every house that I knew that had a pool, their fence were like these kind of kiddie fences, you know, like these very easy ones that you can get in. So I wanted one that looked like wow, that's legit, it's tall, it's metal. And ironically, the only people I knew who had one like that was my parents. So it was like, hey, can I film in your pool, Mom and Dad?
And
sure.
it does creak eerily every time you open.
Yeah, everyone. There's some parts people are like, wow, those are such good sound effects. And that's actually how it sounds. It's kind of this old, kind of rusty, like a metal fence, but it worked. Which is a bit ironic there. His character's ragging on psychologists, and Roger's a psychologist.
So I did believe it. Now what? You think you can unravel all that with an apology?
No,
What is
no,
this?
I don't. I'm trying to tell you that I'm sorry, that I believe you. I should have believed you all those years ago. I can't imagine.
Wearing our socks in this scene. Remember that?
That's what you remember?
Kept having to remember where the recliner was right behind us. Because we back up for something, hit the corner of it.
Ah, okay.
And then I had to walk around it later on.
Yeah.
And I'm not watching where I'm going, so I have to know where it is.
There's very little profanity in this story, but there's a few little lines of it. But Roger's also a pastor, so it felt weird making the pastor cuss. But he didn't bat an eye. He's like, well, that's what the character would do, whatever.
Swimming pool. That's impossible, Dad. It's lunacy.
I remember the crew was like, they were almost a little distracted. Everyone was commenting that in terms of acting, the crew was voicing that this was like their favorite scene. They really liked seeing these two guys argue as father and son. I think there's even an outtake where like you do something and Casey goes like,
Holy crap, that was good.
and I was like, what's wrong with the audio? When he goes, holy crap, he was so good.
Around it, so that it wouldn't hurt anyone else like it did my wife, my son.
I like how you looked out at the pool when he said that, when I hurt my wife. I don't know if he did that deliberately or not, but that was cool.
Stop. I know this must feel.
Almost slipped every time we walked over to this whole thing. That's why I remember the socks. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, those were the house rules, shoes off. So we were trying to honor that.
Sorry, Sam.
Stay the hell away from me.
What a delivery. Well done. That was so good. Loved it. Yeah, that was so good. And Rachel, our lawyer, who is a lot of fun to work with, but who I think had more line blunders than everyone else combined. God bless her. I mean, she is fun to work with. She makes it fun. But yeah, I remember there's a blooper where I'm like, you need to get your freaking lines right, because I'm dying in that truck.
Were you too close?
Actually, you're hot too. Is that
Yeah.
sweat in your back? Oh man.
And that's the shirt, the colored shirt that you wanted. 'Cause
Yeah.
I remember this day I had to take the bus home, walk in the opposite direction of your house to get my stuff from home,
That's right.
rollerblade back,
Oh
change
my
in the front
gosh.
yard.
Oh my gosh. You're like, I'm done before we even start. I told
Like,
you I
I'm
could come
changing
pick
the
you
shirt
up.
so it's like not sweaty and everything, and then we drive the truck and I'm sweaty. It's fine, whatever.
Man, you were suffering for that film. I could have picked you up, dude.
Oh, I was not suffering. I actually missed riding my rollerblade.
Oh, hey, there you go. Well, you're welcome then. Yeah, you would never know it, but this is edited, but my goodness. Actually, you know, actually, when Rachel's delivering these lines, Sean wasn't there yet because he was finishing up his commitments, and so she's actually looking at my wife during this whole exchange.
Yeah, I'm literally like trying to quietly change 20 feet away from them.
Can we just pretend we went in the
The most suffering I'm doing right here is wearing shorts. I don't usually wear shorts.
This part was hard to do the audio. I didn't realize how much an echo would be created from their voices with that patio cover. I took a lot of cleaning up actually, get rid of the echoes and that, but and try to recreate some of the shots where the girls were walking down there, because even last time we saw this, the same part, but it was at night.
Did she just look at the camera?
Did she? I don't think so. I hope not. I didn't catch that if she did. No.
Yep. Oh,
What? No, I don't think she
close.
did.
Right at the very end.
Let's see.
There she is.
See, it looks like she's looking past it to me. Huh. All right, I gotta look at that more carefully. Well, it's already uploaded now, so it's a done deal. There actually, and that's funny because there is a part in your scene with Roger where I cut to you looking like actually is that same shot? What's that?
Oh, just all
Oh, you're fine, you're fine. Or that shot where I cut to you where you're looking out at the pool. I originally only did that because Roger looked at the camera during that line. For some reason, I don't know why. I was like, oh shoot, I gotta fix this. But then I went back to find one of your reaction shots. Like, oh, I like that. He he's grimacing. He looks out at the pool. So that was another one of those. Oh, what a good cut. But no, I was just doing that because of spider. Oh my gosh, I see it. There's a spider that just came down from the ceiling on the camera. What the?
It's like, I want to
Come
be
here,
in a
little
movie.
I don't want to squish you though. Can you get off though?
It's the real star of the show right here.
Right.
This spider that you don't even get to see. That's how good his acting is.
Like, I don't want you to crawl in some crevice. Nah!
You have paper towels?
I do. Let me go get one.
A few moments later.
There you go. He's got eyes on him?
Yeah.
All right. Now we're still rolling for all this.
Yeah, go. Get on it. Not
Jump!
further inside. Did he jump?
Oh, did he? I don't know. As long as he's off the camera.
Poor little thing.
I don't see him. All right. Well, if we freak out again, it's going to be when something runs across our toes. Okay, we're back. I don't remember where we left off that, do you?
Looking at the camera.
Oh, that's
And then
right,
you
that's
said
right.
something.
Yeah, okay.
You were saying something, whatever it was.
Yeah, well, it was another one of those things where it's like, oh, that was a good artistic decision. You'd be surprised probably how with movies how many artistic decisions are actually just you're trying to cover up a mistake.
Serendipity.
There you go.
Actually, a student.
Oh, hope you don't mind me saying, but that seems rather odd, seeing how you grew up in a house with a pool.
This was shot over 2 different days because we ran out of light. Sometimes I got a little more ambitious, so I thought we could accomplish in one day. We did so many takes of this bag thing opening, mainly because Rachel kept forgetting her lines. Although you two were certainly laughing a lot during that.
Fumbling the envelopes and the keys.
I didn't know wax seals were so hard to break, too.
And you can break it, Sean.
No, I don't think I can.
This is for you, Mr. Tanner.
What's this?
It's a key! Isn't it so cool?
Originally, I don't think Sean could rip it.
Yeah. Well, I'd never used the wax seal. My wife actually writes a friend of hers in New York and bought a wax seal kit just to do that.
Really?
But I'd never opened one. I didn't realize it was so difficult.
I
mean, I guess they would have to be if they're surviving a trip somewhere in
Yeah.
somebody's bag.
Yeah, there you go. I wanted it to be like a fancy letter that his dad wrote him. So, yeah, this whole sequence is it was interesting. I was trying to think of how to visually convey this. So yeah, there's some different lighting and like desaturation effects here whenever it goes to the writing, and then normal coloring when it's back to Sam. But yeah, those are my father's hands, not Roger's. I just actually didn't want to take up any more of Roger's time because he'd already committed so much. I knew he had to practice. He's a busy man. So yeah, I mean, if you look closely, you might be like, wow, those are really dark hands for for that white guy. Which my father is Caucasian actually, but he's got a couple things in him that make him a darker individual. So that's where the desaturation helped too.
Yeah, I did one of those DNA tests.
Did you?
I am all of the white.
Oh, the white. That explains it.
Like there's a little bit of Spanish in there,
Ah, a little bit of Spanish.
but like that much.
I gotcha. I need to actually do that. Do one of those myself.
I did it through My Heritage because there was some sale. It was the first one I found, so I didn't do the
Which one was it?
23andMe or anything. It was called My Heritage.
Oh, My Heritage. My bad. You
MyHeritage.com.
just said that. Okay.
So not like Ancestry or the other one.
One of the
But
big names.
yeah.
I want to do one of those. Yeah.
Well, because they're like 100, 200.
Maybe not.
Something
Birthday
like that.
birthday present. My
Wait for a
birthday's coming
sale.
up.
Yeah, sales
wait
come
for
on.
a sale.
My wife and mother-in-law waited for a sale and both did it.
Nice. I commend Sean's acting here because a lot of this is just like, okay, and I keep reading, then I would go and stop and get this angle for like 20 seconds. Now I get this angle. There's a lot of different angles here. Because I knew it's kind of a lengthy-ish monologue from Dad here. So he's being very patient with like, okay, I'm still reading. I'm still reading. I'm still reading. I'm still reading.
Kind of like Death Note when they made it into a show. It's like, how do you make writing in a notebook exciting in an anime? They do it.
They do it.
Anime style. Person dies.
The pool must be demolished and filled in prior to placing it on the market.
The key. The key is just like a little cheap key from Amazon. Thankfully, it looked kind of cool. We actually were trying to find one. This plays into the film later. Again, I'm assuming you've watched it. We were trying to get one that actually looked like it could overlap with like the harpoon tip. No. I like how your head hit that string, but I didn't even notice it until I was editing. But like, oh, whatever.
I was just thinking, like, did I just hit that?
Yeah, you did. There it is, still sitting there, the chest.
I didn't even notice that during the premiere.
This sequence was shot over, I said this earlier, yeah, shot over 2 days, mainly because of the squid attack that's about to happen. It was done with a practical prop, and we just experimented a lot. Actually, I'll talk more about that later. But hey, this squeak is really the sound that gate makes. So I was excitedly anticipating that. I like that expression there. Like you're kind of afraid, but you're like, I'm doing this.
Afraid, angry, determined.
It's a lot of feelers.
I love how had that lock sitting on there because it's apparently really difficult to actually unlock and didn't want to have me like messing with it for so long.
Yeah.
So it's actually already unlocked and I just, it's done. Things rusted to heck. But it still came off so easily.
I feel like this part there's a little bit of suspension of disbelief because it's almost kind of like, well, why didn't he go down to the step in the deep end or stick his arms in the water? I don't know. It's a movie.
Yeah. It's like I want to not be anywhere near the water
Yeah.
as much as possible. But it wouldn't matter. I could barely reach it even if I did.
Yeah, it's just true. I think originally the script called for like it was going to be too heavy for you to scoop up because it was like so weighed down with the treasure or something like that. Then
Just kind of nudge it.
actually, now that I think of that, I think like what happens in there, we only did that because we realized, oh, it's not long enough to get it. So again, that was another one of those, oh, you thought of that. No, we didn't think of that. We just had to pivot with the limitation of the prop. I liked his little have your way, your dad. That was not really in the script, but I like he's kind of like he's talking to Dad. Have it your way, Dad. Did your wife get all excited that you had a shirtless scene in this?
No comment.
Love it. So how cold was that water on a scale of 1 to 10?
Like feeling it, it was probably an 8, but its apparent effects was probably a 12.
Wow. Jeez. Sorry.
That's fine.
And you had, those are like jean shorts too, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, those are probably just making it much worse.
Yeah, it'd be weird to show up to a scene not thinking we're going to get into a pool wearing swim shorts.
Yeah. These little scenes took a long time to edit, but there's all kinds of just layering and lots added to them as we do like the memory sequence and then manipulations to distort the image too. But I really like how it turned out. Yeah.
Come on. It's supposed to be a whole situation originally in the script where I'm like hanging onto the fence as these kids pulling me back in. They're just like, no, I'm just going to hang on to the edge of the pool.
It worked out. Yeah, we did need a
That's
little more
still such a
space
great
there.
shot.
Yeah, these actually, I'm really happy how all these turned out. But yeah, this was just like hours of kind of playing. I made a shot list and there were things I wanted to do. But again, that tentacles is a practical prop. So, I mean, a lot of it is just actually, I'll pause it. There we go. It's a practical prop. When we were wanting to do it with a prop, I did not want to do it digitally because I knew I needed shots of it wrapped around Sean, like and pulling on him. But when we were looking for it, we could not find one like anywhere. They were all either way too small or they were not meant to get wet, like let alone submerged. Like they weren't meant to get wet at all. Even they were like, don't, have this outside in weather where there's lots of condensation, like they could damage them. I'm like, oh my gosh. And we found one though that we loved the look. It had the right material to submerge it, but it wasn't big enough. But we contacted this gal. She had like an Etsy account. We actually asked her, can you make one this big? And she could. It was only in our budget to have one made. But so she made, this gal all the way in Europe, made this tentacle, shipped it to us. I remember when it first got to the house, my cleaning lady like literally screamed when she came in here and saw it. She was like, what is that? She was so freaking out. And then that is the single prop we use for all of this squid sequence. And how it moves, I mean, some of you might have already guessed this, but really it's just like we're wrapping it around Sean and then we're pulling it in a very strategic way. And then we play the clip in reverse in post-production. So it just looks like it's sneaking up around him. That's just how we do most of this stuff. And Sean, God bless him too, there's all these kind of sequences where it's supposed to be, he's got to like get pulled into the water, but he knows we also got to play like the clips backwards because we need to show that movement of it going after him. So his movement has got to look kind of weird as he goes backwards or forwards, depending on the scene, because he knows we're going to play it in reverse.
Which is great, because I always wanted to try backwards acting.
Was that really hard? Like, was that like murder on your knees and just like trying to remember, like, I got to swim, but I got to swim in this very unnatural way? Like, what was that like?
It was more cerebral, like just thinking about how I'm supposed to doing it and is it looking okay? Because it's it's hard to know what you look like until you see it. But yeah, no, I want to say I heard about Bruce Campbell being labeled as the world's best backwards actor, and seeing like one clip of him is like literally coming out of a coffin as a vampire, like probably Dracula, and it doesn't look backwards at all, but like how do you spring out of it from laying completely flat?
Yep.
And there's nothing pushing him, so it's literally he starts.
That's where you got your inspiration.
That was backwards? That was awesome.
Most people, when I would tell them that, they were surprised. So there's like one shot or to be, it looks pretty obvious it's played in reverse, but for the most part, though, I think it turned out pretty good. But I've seen it. How did you think you did? How did you think the tentacle looked, knowing that, we did that backwards?
Oh, that tentacle is amazing. Like, you put it in the water, it moves like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
It floats like it's supposed to.
Actually, it sinks to the bottom. It doesn't float.
Well, like, for that,
I know
the
what you
rate
mean, though.
of descent that
There
it
you go.
takes
There you go.
is great, and how it just kind of naturally wiggles.
Yeah, it does wiggle. Yeah, it has this very, I mean, the only word I can think of is fluid. It's very fluid movement to it that looks like, wow, like if you just saw this and without like, the scene, I mean, it looks like a real tentacle. Which actually random, you were pointing this out to me, because I think you might have said your wife mentioned this to you at the little cast and crew premiere we had. The tentacle is deliberately turned backwards. Now, when you actually watch footage of an octopus or tentacle, a lot of times, octopus or a squid, the tentacles are so sporadic, they're going all over the place. So you're seeing both sides of it. But we deliberately, in like everything, and when it wraps around Sean, it's deliberately backwards because it just looked kind of boring the other way. And we wanted to see like those things would be on him, they wouldn't be facing us. But they just looked so cool not to show them, so we reversed it. Not too many people have really said a thing about that or even noticed, so I'm curious if the audience will think that's odd or not, but anyway.
Although we had to keep trying different ways to attach it to. So it's like some magenta ribbon at one point, fishing lines, like, but we don't want to do it too tight or it'll slice through. There's literal rope at one point because that's how they're pulling me. So rope on one leg and then ribbon and fishing wire on the other leg around the tentacle. It's like, be very light with the tentacle. It was expensive.
Because if we damage it, that's it. We can't use it, right? Yeah. And with the fishing line, I was especially worried that when we were on like the end of it, that if you pulled too tight, the fishing line would rip right through it, and we would decapitate it. So, and then we'd be kind of screwed. So, we had to be.
Held up.
It held up great. It never got damaged at all. But what was in this whole sequence? What was the hardest part? Was it just the cold, or was it? I'd imagine you crawling up on the edge like you're about to, probably was murder on your forearms and your knees maybe. Like, what was the hardest part?
More on my torso.
Your torso,
like,
okay.
Knees, forearms were fine, but I'm literally laying on it and just kind of like pretending like I'm getting pulled back, and so I'm just, what's the exfoliating?
We put Sean through a lot through this.
It really wasn't anything bad.
Okay, well, good, good.
Oh, I'm a little red. It's fine.
Well, that makes sense with the suctions, the tentacle. It was one of those things like you make a shot list, you prepare, you kind of know what you want to capture, but at the same time you try to give yourself an opportunity to play and just experiment when it's something like this. I mean, you really do need to. And in the final film, there's a bit of both. There's the stuff that was planned that's like, oh, I pictured this in my head. We wrote it down, that here's exactly what we want to do. But then there are other things that we just very sporadically thought of in the moment, and those made the cut too. So a good saying that I have for my business part of filmmaking is you go in with a plan, but not an expectation with filmmaking. And that's really great words to live by. Yes, you prepare, be responsible. You got people volunteering their time to be a part of this thing. Everyone's working hard and usually in challenging conditions. But at the same time, try to create this atmosphere where it's conducive to creativity. And you invite ideas too. I mean, you had ideas. We want, because even as the writer and director, I don't want all the ideas to come from me because someone might have one better than I have. So I want to hear those ideas. So yeah, every once in a while someone would like, hey, what if we try this? That's a great idea. So I liked how you kicked it off there. That actually looked, the way the camera moved too, that was really cool. And that's one of my favorite shots of the tentacle. That it looks so real.
I love that sound effect too.
Yeah. You know what that is actually? That part of that's me.
Is it?
Part of it is. Part of those are me doing. Yeah, exactly like this. And then like it's backwards with pitch things added. There's the cherub. Yeah. But okay, again, why that cherub's there? And they're right there. What would you guess? Maybe you, whoever's watching this commentary. Why would you guess we would cut to the cherub? Because the scary thing's already happening. What do you think?
What did we flub?
Oh, yeah, exactly. So what did I flub? What did I flub? All this looks so cool with him. Yeah, I love that shot pointing up towards the water. I'm like laying on my back underwater trying not to float to the surface.
Your legs come in?
Yeah, well, in one of these shots, my legs come in. But no, here's the thing. When we were shooting all this, I'm so focused on the attack that I realized that one time you escape and you go to the surface and it pulls you back in, right? But then I realized we never filmed anything that actually showed you escaping it a second time. So we didn't okay, you're bound by it again, but we never actually see you break free of it. So I was like, oh shoot, as I'm editing this. So it's kind of like your imagination fills in the gap by literally, so it's attacking him, it cuts to the cherub, and then all of a sudden he's swimming away again. So there kind of is this, oh, he broke free of it. But your imagination fills in that gap.
Yeah, I
But
always figured it kind of like just dragged me and
Yeah.
then let go for a second. Like,
Yeah.
No, you're going back up.
See, your
You're not going
imagination,
back
your
up.
imagination filled in the gap.
Yeah,
So
there you
that's because I didn't
Thanks,
fill in the
Sharon.
gap with a good shot. I love that shot right there. That shot looks so cool. There we go.
You can already see my chest is red.
Yeah. I could imagine. Oh my gosh.
Got nothing to hold on to.
Yeah, because there's like several different angles of this too, and it's like you gotta really struggle. You gotta really just pulling you. His father's words echo. This is another one of those things where Sean was great at, like, oh, I just came out of the water, so let me go. So at different takes and angles, goes and sticks his head in the water, and so he still see the water dripping off him. So thank you for your eye for continuity. Then it all comes together. He realizes the power he wields. That was weird. Just got a text message while I did the shing sound effect. That was so weird.
Perfect.
My father actually made that harpoon. So yeah, that's like a homemade harpoon. My squirting of the blood there was a little off with the direction, but it was close enough. Wish I would have had a
Well, you
little.
had one shot.
Yeah.
Could have been worse.
Because it's going to stain the water, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm giving so many examples of fumbles. Did I tell you why that looks like that?
Where it's a little choppy.
Yeah, because some people almost are like, oh, it's the aftermath. It's this weird, almost kind of like dreamlike sequence. Or it looks like they really thought it was all deliberate. It looks like a slow, like a shutter speed, but it's not. Actually, what it all came down to is that I accidentally put the action camera in time lapse mode. I didn't realize it. That's what that is, and didn't realize it until
Serendipity
much
again?
later. Exactly. And we had thrown out the chest at that point. And I think literally the prop, because it got ruined from the water, it was this cheap kind of chest. It didn't hold up very well at all. But it was like out of stock or like back ordered. So it's like, I'll just do this. And I thought actually it looked good. So choppiness worked out. Serendipity, yep. Sean is probably dying from the cold right now at this point.
Oh, yeah. You're gonna see it.
Yeah, especially in this shot.
Purple. Yep.
Yeah, his hand's shaking. Actually, it looks so good though.
I mean, I did just fight a squid.
Dun, 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 dun. That the treasure in here is a mix of just it's like some toys essentially, but also some real like silver dollars. Part of that is to make it look a little more real. Part so we could get that sound effect like ting, ting, like it sounds like real treasure.
It just reminds me of that part at the end of the Goonies.
Oh,
The maid finds the jewels. Like, yeah, those are totally real.
there's the picture. I actually was worried that I would have this in focus long enough for people to read because your hand's shaking so
I
bad.
was so worried about that. I was like,
It worked out.
freeze
though.
frame?
Yeah, it worked
Freeze
out.
frame,
Though. I mean, the
it's
sun I think is set by this point too, so we're losing the light. So
Yeah,
I had to.
it's already down.
Yeah, so I had to really crank the aperture like wide open, which creates a shallow depth of field, and then so it's hard to keep something that narrow in focus. But I think it worked out. Dun dun dun. The moment where it all comes together. It's like I think I can bring Mom back.
You know, I love the way my hair looks after getting out of a shower. Out of a pool? Not so much.
I love how this flows with the music. There are a few things while I was editing this that came together in ways I didn't plan on, like even the shot where the shark disappears. Something's coming up here. Yeah, that was like, oh, let me just have it like it never happened.
Hey, Zach.
Hmm.
Nathan.
Nathan.
I'm so glad you decided to go swimming.
And so here, we'll tell the quick story in this right here. Do you want to tell it?
I had actually completely forgotten about this. Showed up to the premiere and he's like front loading me about the last shot and how I'm gonna just bust out laughing. I was like, why?
Why?
I didn't say it. I was just thinking. I was like, well, okay, yeah, totally. What about that last shot? What's going on?
It ended
it
with
was-
a funny note.
Yeah, he was throwing around the idea. It was apparently supposed to morph back into Brody, the younger version of the character for this, so he can reap the benefits of getting his mom back. But this is the character that actually went through all the stuff. So I guess decide, because I remember you saying you were really set on making it the boy.
Well, that was
And
what
then
was
it
in the
changed.
script, and yeah, so the idea would be like when he opens his eyes and the hand comes up, he'd be a boy again. So it's like he willed himself to be a boy again. It was, I guess, kind of like the idea, but it seemed so out of left field and so inconsistent with what already had happened in the pool. Like, people think of things and they manifest, but no one's changed their age or their anatomy, while they're in the pool. And when some people read the script, they're like, "Did he go back in time?" Like, I don't understand. Like, the few people were really like, that ending seems ambiguous. And I originally just thought, oh, it'll make sense when they see it. But then as we were shooting it, it didn't feel right. I thought it'd be better that to have adult Sam here, that he's the one who brings her back.
So we shot this just in case.
Yeah,
because of that.
Yeah, exactly. But do you want to share about whose hand that is?
But again, yeah, like, didn't get to work with Krista on this project,
The mom.
even though she's right here.
Wink.
And then your wife Sarah didn't want to get in the pool. She was like, "Nope,
we
sorry, love you, not doing it."
We needed the hand for this.
So we had the intern Nathan come on in. He's a slender guy, soft hands.
Very fair, feminine hands.
So I'm looking right in his face, and then Josh is spooning him from behind to get the camera in front of him, so takes over being her eyes.
And I think we only
got
probably
really comfortable with each other.
For the film.
6BD hand.
Oh, that was perfect too, Nate.
There you go.
We all took turns laughing.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Just giggling like old school.
I think Nathan
kids.
probably only agreed to this because he was the intern hoping to turn out to a job, right? But yeah, you're absolutely right. I actually forgot that. I tried to get my wife to get in the water to be the one who, with the motherly affection cups this. She's like, nope. My wife's a big help. she was, but she was not game for that because of the water. It's just freezing. It's freezing. Yeah. That was the big thing. And
she had just dried off because she was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I think she was in it earlier just for the fun of it. But,
yeah. And she's like, no, I'm done. And and then what was hard for me because I'm the light, the sun's set. So this is our last shot. I'm like, okay, we got to get this. And Sean's got to sell this, right, with his hi mom, because he kind of breaks the fourth wall here, and he's looking, and he's got to really sell that. The hi mom, and everyone is giggling their butts off.
Same thing. But then look at the camera. Hi, mom. I wouldn't change a thing. That was great.
Make yourself laugh. I see you looking at the camera.
Yeah, don't look at him. Don't look at him, Nate.
Don't look at it.
The crew is laughing. The sound guy's cracking up. There's a bunch of bloopers of this where Nathan, again, who's the owner of that hand, he's like going, and in the end, I think I'm yelling at him not to look at you. I'm pretty sure he's got his eyes closed and like his head down because he can't take this seriously, especially with how Sean smiles at him in this scene. So it came together in a really good way, but you would never guess the laughter and the silliness and you were saying the giggling that went on building up to this last shot, this little facial hand cupping here.
Such a serious moment.
I mean, it is. I mean, Sean still nailed it. Well, but it didn't help that you're there. But you can go from silly to in character very easily. But so you're there in the outtake. He's going, spoon him good to me, and Nathan's just laughing, and everyone else is laughing. My wife is filming this, and she's laughing. I'm like, everyone, focus. We gotta get this last freaking shot. And
but you also gotta have fun.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, if you don't have some fun doing it, what's the point? So that was a great delivery too. I love that. Hi, Mom. Well, I love that. Yeah, I loved your smile there and how you delivered the line. That was excellent. And the boom, cut to black. Yeah, which at least, I mean, I don't feel like it's so ambiguous. Staring. You're staring at Sean the whole time. It's I like that there's some ambiguity in the end, like where are we going to go from here? Because I like stories like that. I like stories that have some ambiguity and don't give you all the answers per se. But anyway, so as the lead actor of this, what was the most challenging part of doing this, and what was the best part or the most rewarding part? Challenging first. What was the most challenging part?
Again, I gotta say, swimming badly. That water wasn't as cold, but it's really hard to swim badly. I never would have thought of it. It's like, yeah, I'm a pretty decent swimmer, so just acting like I'm not should be fine. Oh man.
You must unlearn what you've learned.
Pretty much.
And the best
most
part,
rewarding.
or rewarding.
It's been a while since I've got to do anything artistic. Like I was saying, I worked with the other director on that one where I had to shout out middle of the night that I'm going to kill somebody with a giant gun in my hand. We did another show probably, I want to say just before this, but the last big thing I was going to do was a show on the Selma Art Center stage, and then COVID hit.
That was the Tarzan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aerial silks,
That
ASL
sucked.
inclusive.
Ah.
And then the person doing it moved, and it was her passion project, so just not going to be able to do it unless she just allows us to. And we don't want to step on her toes and do it without her. So, and that's totally fine. But yeah, I got involved with ASL right after that, and did that as much as we were able to during the COVID years. So being able to get back out and do something artistic is a big reward, because otherwise I was sitting at home just like, the world sucks right now. Can't do anything.
Well, I'm glad you felt like it was an artistic experience. Sometimes you feel like you're just making it up as you go along. But it's weird because in some ways I can totally empathize with that experience. And I was going to just briefly touch on like the last thing I paused here, which is a shout out to my wife, because making this film was in a lot of ways encouraged by her. The very short version of a long story is that almost, gosh, I think we're going on almost 10 years ago at this point, I moved to New Zealand to go make a movie. I had made a couple short films and some doors opened up, and I was going to go make my first major motion picture in New Zealand to collaborate with some talented filmmakers there. And my wife at the time found out she had leukemia, and she was pregnant. It was our first child. She ended up dying. And for me, like then after she died and I was taking care of my son, I reopened my business. I'm a filmmaker too, like that just has clients and stuff like that, with commercials and corporate work. But I really thought doing stuff like this was over. Kind of like in the same way where like you had this great opportunity to be Tarzan, and it's this inclusive this, and then suddenly COVID and the opportunity's gone. That's what it felt like. It felt like, oh, that dream, that opportunity, it's gone, and it's not coming back. Because now I got to take care of. I'm a single dad. I got to run a business. Like that's done with. And I'm remarried now, and my current wife Sarah, she was the one who was like, you have such great ideas for stories, and I know this is your passion, and I know you also care about being responsible and providing for us, but you should do this. You should the dream's not dead. Unpack it, bring it out. And it really was her. That's her making a lot of noise in the kitchen right now. That really was her encouragement that really made this film possible. And so I'm glad we got to bring you into the artistic medium again as an extension of her encouragement. Now Sean's going to be in a play now too, and he's excited about that. And
same thing with my wife. I almost played the role in Visalia. They were going to do it, and I don't know why it just never happened. I don't think they found the 4th season. But yeah, and then of course COVID and everything, and they got the rights for it in Selma, and I was like, yeah, I still want to do it, but money issues and only one car and all this other stuff. She's like, no, you're doing it.
That's awesome.
Okay. And yeah, no, it's going great, loving it.
We both married well.
Wasn't feeling particularly motivated. And it's like, now that I'm here, why wasn't I motivated?
I don't know. I think sometimes you think that the reality sets in that, the adulting, and I think all of us are wired to play. A bit. We have to have that outlet where the kid in us gets to come alive and we get to play and have fun and make something, build something, pretend to be something. And that's really the whole point of this film was. I'm not putting it in any film festivals. I'm uploading it to my YouTube channel, and I hope lots of people watch it and it gets shared. But it mainly was this story that I just wanted to do. And thankfully, enough talented people wanted to come alongside me to make it. So we hope to do more of these. We'll see. Thankfully, Sean says he's game for the next one.
Yeah, anything you got, throw it my way.
Awesome. So we'll see what happens. But hey, if you watched through this whole thing, I just want to thank you for watching. Hopefully you learned something, or it was insightful, or you were just entertained by our banter. But I know I enjoyed doing it. So hey, this was us having a little fun. And hopefully you got to have fun alongside us. So anything you want to close with, Sean?
Watch the pool.
There you go.
Again.
Watch the pool
if
again.
you haven't already.
I spit.
You doing the bloopers on there too?
Yeah, oh yeah, they'll be
shared?
public. Absolutely, yeah. So watch the bloopers, the commentary, watch the film again, all that good stuff. Hey, thank you for watching.